Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Senad. I am one of the co-founders of Linkbound. The other co-founder you perhaps already know, Yasmin Alic, and maybe you're following him as well. Now, I'm not just the founder of Linkbound, I'm also one of the co-founders of a company called Zendev. And there's a reason I'm telling you about that, because Linkbound was to some extent born out of a problem that we had at Zendev. And let me tell you a little bit about it. Zendev is a software development agency. We're a team just under 100 people. And what I can say about Zendev is that when we started this company in 2016, for the bigger part of the history of the company, sales were quite easy. And the way that we did sales for the most part was actually with me being very active as a founder on LinkedIn, posting content so that people could see who we are, what we do, what our expertise is, gain trust, and that yielded into a lot of inbound business. So 2016 to 2022, we actually had more work than we could handle. Now, fast forward to 2023, interest rates go up, the economy tanks, and now it's much harder to do sales than ever. And in this whole process of it becoming harder, we had to figure out what more can we do than we were already doing, just as everybody else was thinking about it. And we tried a lot of different things. We tried the traditional ones as far as sending out mass emails, sending mass DMs, and so on. None of that ended up working. And then I came across a post which is, as far as I'm considered, kind of like an infamous post right now by Adam Robinson on LinkedIn. And he's talked about having spoken to 30 different founders, and his teams were, or rather their teams were kind of broken down. Their sales were not going well. Their business development teams were all kind of like mentally fatigued. And these were great people that were working there, but it was just very tough to do sales in the traditional way. And what he mentions in this post, in these 7 most controversial and surprising things that he learned, at point number 5, he talks about what actually still does work. And there he says the future of selling is making yourself or your team an influencer. And this was really good news for me, because this was the one thing that we actually had been focusing on. We had this approach where we had founder brand content, which was creating leads for us, and it was still creating leads for us. What Adam Robinson and we ourselves eventually found out was that we cannot create a business purely out of our inboxes. And I would say this is how my inbox often looks like when I get work, is that somebody says, "Hey Senad, I know you, but you don't know me." This is a great starting point. But the reality is that this is only the tip of the iceberg. These are the people that actually take the time to reach out to you and say, "Hey Senad, I feel like I know you, let's do business." What's also available in your network is the other 90%. The people that feel they know you, but they haven't reached out to you because the timing hasn't been perfect. And the reason I say this is that here's an opportunity for us to be proactive, not just reactive and wait for them to reach out to us. I can actually reach out to these people, and if they feel like they know me, it's going to be natural for me to strike up a conversation with them. Now, with that in mind, the way that I can know that they feel that they know me is if they have frequently reacted, liked, and commented and reposted some of my content. And this is what Linkbound gives you the information about. And I'm going to show you the demo, what it looks like right now. But what we're really talking about here is that the people that have been very active in reacting, liking, commenting, reposting your content, these are people that you can label what Alex Hormozi calls the warm outreach. They're actually the people that are the easiest to do sales with, because there's already an awareness of you and a trust built up over the internet, ironically. And people want to do business with people they feel like they know and people that they feel like they trust. Now let's take a look at what the application actually looks like. So Linkbound lives as an extension in your browser, and if you install it, whenever you go to linkedin.com, it's going to pop up on the right hand side here, and you can always move it up and down if it's bothering you as far as where it stands. And when you click on it, it opens up just like this. And by default, we're going to be at a tab called the top network. The top network is just a list of all the people that have ever engaged with your content, and I can see how many they are over the years. So for example, I can see that over the years that I've been posting, 31,000 people, just over that, have been engaging with my content. Keep in mind, this is not the amount of connections or the amount of followers that I have. This is the total amount of people that have engaged with my content, which is a little bit different. And by default, if I don't sort by anything else, it's going to be sorted by the signals. And this is the total amount of times that each and every individual has interacted with my content. And as you can see, for example, at the very top here, I have Kenan Kovacevic. I can see that he lives in Bosnia and Herzegovina, works for the company The Right Street, and I can actually check out what this company works with. I see that they have a short explanation of who they are. They have some details from LinkedIn as well, as far as how big the company is, their company website, and so on. And I can even see the other people that are in this specific company that have engaged with my content. So for example, I know that Kenan has engaged a ton with my content, but maybe I need to speak to his CEO, for example. So if I click on the right street, I see, well, I can't get access to the CEO, but maybe I can talk to the co-founder, Filip Lugovic, and see if we can do business together. And Filip himself has engaged with my content at 12 points. So I could actually, based off of this, probably reach out to Filip as well, because we have a pretty warm relationship as well. But I have a really, really warm relationship with Kenan, and it would be nice if he could do the intro. And if I click on Kenan here, for example, I can get a very detailed, broken down view of all the interactions over time. So I can see that we've had 192 interactions, we've had 11 comments, and we haven't had any reposts. And I can see that the first time that Kenan interacted with my content was in 2021. So we've known each other for a long time. I can filter here as well. So I can click on just show me the comments. And I can see that just recently he commented on our Linkbound press release, and he said, you guys did this really great. And what's really interesting with this is that we have a nice little AI feature here, which is this magic wand tool. What this magic wand tool does is that I can go to any of the posts that I've created, and if I click on it, for example here, what this does is that I can create an AI message to open up a conversation with Kenan based off of the interaction that he had with my specific post, but also it takes into consideration who I am and also the information about who he is. So I can say, for example, well, request a meeting with Kenan, and let's see how this works out. So it says, hey Kenan, thanks for the comment, love the energy. So that's the context of what he's engaged with. Since we're both in Mostar, so it's recognized that we're both living in the same town, and share an interest in marketing, recognize that as well. We should definitely grab a coffee, you mentioned, because that's a reference to what he mentioned. Our company is doing some interesting things in the digital space that you might find exciting. What's your schedule look like next week? So this is a nice little feature. We never connect directly into your LinkedIn because that can get you banned on LinkedIn, but we insist that you click on copy and then you go on to LinkedIn through this simple button here. I can get to Kenan's profile and I can click on message and send him this specific message. If I go back one step, I can also do a few more things. So if I feel that Kenan and I potentially can do business together, I'm going to say that he's qualified. What I also can say is that some people are, for example, unqualified, pre-qualified, if that's how I define them. And eventually I can also say that these are people that I converted into some sort of business or that I haven't been able to convert, if that's the way that I want to say it. For example, Mirko here, he works in my company, so it's irrelevant for me to do business with him. I'll say that he's unqualified, and what you're going to see here is that he disappears from this specific list because I don't want to see him there again, and the next time I come back here, he will just more or less be wasting my pixels, if you will. No pun intended, Mirko. Now, what else can I do? So this is one way that I have a list of all the people, but usually when you're trying to get the people that you want to do business with, you want to filter in some way. So at the top right corner here, you have a massive amount of different ways that you can filter all of these different posts and then the people that have engaged with them. So you have all the default parameters that you have in LinkedIn. So for example, you can enter the location based off of a country. You can filter by the amount of followers that the people that have engaged have. You can do it based off of company parameters like the industry that the company is in, the size of the company, and so on. But a few other interesting things that you can also do is you can filter them based off of the kind of content that they've interacted with. So what I can say here is, for example, give me, for example, I write a lot about digital nomads. So I'm going to say digital nomad here. And I'm going to say, give me all the people that have interacted with all of my posts that have the term digital nomad in it. And if I click on apply, you see that that gets narrowed down to 8,556 people. And if this is for some reason the people that I want to reach out to, instead of applying this filter each and every single time, I can say create a new list, and I'll just call this list digital nomads, and I'll just say save and apply again. So what this does is that now I'm just looking at the list called digital nomads, and if I click on the arrow down here, I can get a list of all the different lists that I've created earlier and then go to them. So for example, I can say all the CEOs that I have in the US that have interacted with my content and get an overview of them. What else is available here, and I'm going to clear the filters for a second, is that if I go under posts, now I can see all of these engagements based off of the most recent posts. And again, I can filter the post based off of a search, but I can also just go chronologically post by post. And if I look at the last one, I can see that I've had 616 reactions here, 44 comments, and 6 reposts. So that there's a lot of opportunities on this specific post based off of the people that have interacted with my content. And what the system automatically also detects is that if I have people that I've recently said are unqualified, they're not going to show up in the list as far as opportunities. They're already unqualified on the right hand side here. But if I go back to opportunities, what you're going to see in this view, which you haven't seen in the top network, is the ability to see a flame here, which indicates that I should do something with this person because they have more than 5 signals towards me. And this is what we say is a good starting point. When people have interacted with your content more than 5 times, you can probably assume that they know you a little bit. So now it's safe to reach out to them. If they haven't had that many signals towards you, you should probably keep posting and get to that number before you reach out to them. But if it gets to that point and this flame goes on, now you should make a decision. You should either say that they are unqualified or qualified. And if I say, for example, that this person is qualified, well, what's going to happen is that that flame turns off and it's going to remain in my list of opportunities. And now I know that at some point I should probably be reaching out to Kenan, for example. What's also available if you look in the top network is that I can set up different tags for people, and these are entirely editable, so you can create the tags that you want to do. You can categorize people, and then you can filter by those categories as well. What's also very interesting here is one of the 2 problems we have was to understand who all the people are, but then also handling all those interactions. Somehow, I would say it's a part of a CRM system, because we all know that the LinkedIn inbox is kind of tough to work with and you can't get an overview of what's happening with all of your relationships. So what we've created here is something that we call interactions. And basically I'm able to record all the different interactions that I have with the people that I want to do business with. And it's different kinds of interactions. The interactions can be over calls, over emails, over DMs, meeting up with somebody live, video, and so on. And when I want to record an interaction, I just click on add interaction, say the person that I interacted with, for example, Valeria, and maybe we met up live, had a coffee to discuss Linkbound, and then I can add that interaction. And what's going to happen here is that it's going to get recorded. So I'm going to have my diary on the right hand side here of all the interactions. I'm also going to get the total amount of interactions that I've had with people and get it broken down on a daily basis. And this is really good for you internally to manage yourself, or if you have a manager that you can show the amount of interactions you're having with people that are relevant. What's interesting with these interactions is that it creates something called Linkbound alerts. And these Linkbound alerts come from this element we call warmth. If I sort by warmth here, you can see that I have some people that I very recently interacted with, and it's recognized that by the interaction created. And then we have a sun indicating that this relationship is warm. We recently interacted, like for example today. And then if the last interaction has been between 7 to 30 days since we last interacted, now we're at something between a sun indicating that it's warm and a snowflake indicating that it's cold. So it's all right still, but I need to keep in mind that I should maybe soon reach out to this person. And by the time they hit a snowflake, it means that it's past 30 days since we last spoke, and now we need to reach out to that person again. So this is really good because it creates these Linkbound alerts telling me it's been too long since you spoke to this person and you've said that it's a qualified person. Make sure to keep that relationship warm, because that's what this whole tool is about, keeping warm relationships and making sure that we actually can do sales. One last thing that I want to show you is that sometimes it's a bit tedious to add interactions like this. What I also can do, what's also available, is that I go to my messaging, and what I can say here is that, for example, rather than having to open up this and click on add interactions, and for example, say I want to say I had a communication with Dunya, rather than having to open this and adding that interaction, what's also available is that I just mark the communication that I had with Dunya, for example, and then I see this little Linkbound thing pop up here, and when I click on this, it automatically copies that content into my note, and I can say quickly that was a DM and the person was Dunya Medat. There we go, and now we can save that. and now it's automatically logged in my diary. And what's also going to be available very, very soon is a mobile app, because sometimes when people call you over the phone, you don't want to have to sit down by a computer to record all of these interactions. So this was Linkbound in not so short. It was a detailed demo. I think you understand most of the features that we have right now, most of the things that you can do in this system. What it really is a tool for people that are creating content to know who the people are that engage, and people that are actually not interactive on LinkedIn. Maybe this is not the best tool for them. They would probably do good for themselves if they actually become more active on LinkedIn, post 2 to 3 times per week, and then make use of a tool like this. But I really believe that this is genuinely the future of sales, and that's the reason that we built this tool initially for ourselves, but then we realized that this can be something amazing for other people as well.